Okay, so I just seen it for probably the 5th time in less than half an hour. You're gonna have to excuse me because I had to start this video right now and get these energies up here and talk to you because this happened yesterday. This happened the day before. Me seeing these energies, there's about to be another event. And it is judgment codes that I'm seeing. It's literally 25 degrees out right now. It's 1:51, 52, it's 1125. It's the code coming out in people's dreams that have been in my playlist for like weeks that I haven't even touched yet. The confirmation is just very powerful right now. So he's bringing up to me very specific things that we were put to shame by or with or what have you. Okay, and so this might apply to a lot of the sacred feminine. This could apply to a lot of people, but I'm going to tell you how it's applied to me so far. So I lived in the heart of Cincinnati, and it was a very interesting place. There was an old Indian burial ground right in our town called Indian Mound. There was rumors of every kind, like, you name it, about why this town in the heart of Cincinnati was predominantly white. And it was like its own little township, separate from the rest of Cincinnati. So the neighboring cities around it were often very black neighborhoods and school districts and stuff like that. Well, I was from that town, but I only lived there briefly, very briefly. I was born there. My parents lived there when they met, when they got married. Then they moved to another town just a little bit north, which was still also predominantly white, but by the time me and my sister are teenagers, it's no longer any white neighborhoods around except for the one where we were born. So I think for that reason, people were maybe motivated to carry out witchcraft and generational curses in this area. I don't know what the heck was going on. I'm not lying to you at all, but something major was happening there. And they put this, when I first got married, so-called married to my first handler. I don't call them husbands. I try to correct it if I do, because the circumstances surrounding our marriage, we were under oppression. Basically, we weren't going to have anywhere to live if we didn't get married. And even if we had a place to live, we weren't going to be able to live how we wanted to live, and I was pregnant. So there was even like a lot of very mysterious things that happened around when I first got pregnant and around when I first go to school and fall for somebody that I gave testimony to. And without going all into that, that's the stuff that was going on. It's very suspicious stuff. It's very strange. To this day, I don't really have all the answers to that, except for that I do know that God has promised to remove these curses, that they are generational curses, and the leadership that we had at the time was not doing what they were supposed to do. They were not cleaning up the country, basically. They were still operating under these influences, these curses, these ways of doing things. I don't know. this is like weird for me right now. So my masculine is coming through real strong too. So it's not just me getting judgment codes and sacred feminine codes and death and rebirth codes. Now it's me getting those codes, but also me getting my own union codes that show that me and my masculine are both working together in our intuitive energies, our spiritual energies, and our physical energies, meaning we are meeting God's requirements and we are working within the union. So that's good because the heart chakra merge is going good on that note. So that's always good. Anytime that's going good, no matter what is going on, even if it's judgment, it's going to be a lesser, it's going to help us avert disasters. So Tina Coyle was a girl who, I don't know if she was a witch or if she just came from a generation of witches or if there were just witches in the neighborhood. I don't know. But when it showed up in my channelings, her name was significant for two reasons. She was the ex-girlfriend of my first quote-unquote husband, handler dude. And she was not somebody people messed with. We looked a lot alike. We were about the same size, built very similar, blue eyes, blonde hair. If I put on makeup, people thought we were the same person sometimes, or twins, or sisters, or cousins, or something. They would swear to it. They would come to me and say, "You look so much like Tina Coyle." And I didn't even know who Tina Coyle was when people started doing that to me. There was another girl that I got mistaken for from behind, because we both had really long hair and also had a similar build. But Tina Coyle would fix her hair up a little bit more often, and she knew a little bit more people than this other girl. But people really compared me and Tina a lot. And then I end up with her ex, and I don't know this for like a long period of time that I'm with him. I don't really know that Tina's his ex. By the time I find this out, we're homeless. We don't have anywhere to live. We go live with Tina and Tim and all these other people. They have an apartment, and there's these other people we know that have an apartment in the building across the way. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. This was sort of an older crowd of people. They were a little bit more mature than me. They were also a little bit more into music and into the scene, I guess you would say, than I was. I was more of a homebody. So, being that I was with this husband, handler dude, and being that our moms were in such bad shape, I'm pregnant. I'm like 3-4 months along, and we end up homeless. I'm around this Tina Coyle friend, and her friend is Irena. Her name is Irena. I have not seen Irena since that time. I don't think anybody's seen her. Now, I got these two girls to take me all the way to Covington and Newport, where I had used to live across the river, to find old friends of mine, including an ex-boyfriend that I met in 5th grade. But I couldn't find anybody, but we drove past the places where I lived. Because one of the things we did back home was drive around and listen to music. Riding in cars with boys, that was me. And a lot of my friends do. So, Tina Coyle's name is very significant because we're supposed to be defeating this Leviathan energy over the country. In order to do that, no mere mortal can do it. It has to be done through the Lord. So we started calling in Leviathan help with Leviathan. Oh man, 5 years ago at least. So we've been going at this. Every time the Lord leads me, we go at this, and we work through my sacred union, and we work through faith, and we work through what we're being given. So that's why I stay up with this and continue what I'm doing, because I don't want to miss anything. And when I pray and I put it out there that, Lord, We got to get on this, and I don't want to miss anything, and I got to do what I'm supposed to do. He's going to lead us. So he's leading us right now, and there's a judgment happening. And this could be because the Lord's ready to do something. And when these things are happening, they can be very eventful. Lots of different things can start happening. Lots of different things. So, Coil was her name. And incidentally, she also happened to be there when my old friend John passed away. And he's the one that passed away of a concoction of 3 things, including whiskey, which that came up. Some sort of liquid Oxycontin, which you supposedly cannot even get. You would have to have access to a doctor's office. You can't just go to a pharmacy and get it. It wasn't in a pill form. It was a liquid form. So there was always a mystery to how he ended up passing away. And she showed up. I don't think she had anything to do with it, by the way. But she showed up at his layout. And the Lord had me walk next to her, which was a very awkward moment in my life because I did not know why, but I was in this energy of let me just do what I'm led to do because my friend just passed away and all kinds of crazy stuff keeps happening, and I was prayerful back then. I wasn't in my faith and as awakened as I am now, but I was prayerful, so I was just following my heart, and I saw her there. And when I went to walk down the aisle with her, she's a very stuck up person in general. People acted like she was free-spirited, down-to-earth, hippy-dippy 90s chick and everything like that. But she was not like that with me. And as a matter of fact, after I get married to this guy and I'm very big and pregnant, she starts hanging around him all the time. And they start working together and they're big buddies and friends again. And she's staring at me all the time. She just stares at me, and then he accuses me of being jealous of her. And I'm not jealous of her, but if I was jealous of her, I had a ton of reasons to be jealous of her. It was just that I was pregnant, and I was like, that's not cool. So these people that I knew back in the day, they would drink, they would do drugs, they would party, they would do a lot of things that I would not do. I just did not do. A lot of really crazy, weird stuff was going on around me. So I don't know if somebody started these curses in my life or if it's just that her name is so significant and the fact that the Lord may be talking about handlers, and we all know where that energy comes from. So I couldn't even put on makeup recently. Like that even seemed to aggravate the Lord. He was like, you're playing the harlot, don't play the harlot. But I remember this girl, and she had this conversation with me. She would just come up sometimes and have this weird conversations and say things to me very randomly. And then she would stare at me real weird and then walk away and act like I was the weird one after she just said some weird, crazy stuff. And I was just like, okay, whatever, chick, like whatever. And that's exactly what I would do. I would just be like, okay, whatever. And some people were scared of her. I wasn't scared of her. One time she was out in front of her house stuffing this garbage. And I don't know why. She was like really working on it for a long time. And I walked by and I said, what are you doing? She's like, just taking out the trash. And I was like, well, I think my fiance is scared of you. Did you know that? And she was like, that's funny. That's probably because I came after him with a ball bat once. So I was like, you came after him with a ball bat? She was like, yeah, he cheated on me. And then I was like, oh, yeah, he told me that story. That's messed up. She's like, yeah, it's messed up. She's like, but that was years ago. And I'm like, okay, so, well, I'm not scared of you. And I don't need to be scared of you, do I? And she was like, no. And we just stood there and had a conversation about makeup and mascara. And she was like, my mom's scared of me too. And I was like, why is your mom scared of you? She's like, I don't know, probably because I went off on her over my mascara. And so we had this conversation about that. And I was like, I fight with my mom and sister like that too. So we kind of had like a when it was just me and her, we were fine. When other people was around, she was just like, I cannot be seen talking to you. I was just like, okay, well, that's just weird. And there was some people that acted that way, so I didn't think nothing of it. I was also somebody who just, I didn't look my age either. I was 18, 17 years old, and they would say, you look like a 12-year-old. But look, it's showing up as opposition. So this might be somebody that was secretly jealous, or she just may represent this secret rivalry, secret opposition, hidden opposition is what I'm getting. And the twisting and coiling spirit, that's the one that comes in, drops information, accusations, insults, truth, whatever, and then pulls back out. It likes to twist everything into lies. Okay, and it really likes to go after public information or certain people. We research the crap out of this energy. So you have to pray ceasingly. It requires diligence, information, research. You have to want to do this kind of work. There has to be some motivation, some desire. Someone could desire more information, being diligent, desire to know who the opposition is, seeking information about the sacred feminine and masculine. Who knows, really? I don't do tarot readings, and I don't suggest you do a tarot reading about these energies, because you would not get the truth anyway. It would be something twisted. So, prosperity and abilities. So, it was revealed back then, too, that Leviathan was the main problem with information in our country. Probably the world, but that's what's coming up for me right now, and it's powerful and strong. So I just wanted to reveal that, share that with you guys. There was a lot that came up in my dreams. This Tim friend of mine was also somebody that was in love with Tina, and he was one of the main ones that would always come up and be like, you remind me so much of Tina, and stuff like that. Look, I got 84 again. I got frustration, depression, sickness. Jessica's come up. She's the one I went to 8th grade with. These are people that showed up in my dream state. It's very strange. So I did ask to remember my dreams better, and so far I have. But unfortunately, what's happening with that is my light body's being affected, and so is my physical body. I have symptoms of like a 5-month pregnant woman right now, and I'm definitely not a 5-month pregnant woman at all. So this might be about curses that happen during pregnancy. Firstborns. The keys are in Ezekiel. So we have to research curses and whatever we're led to. That's what I'm working on right now. So this is my 11/11 update. That's all I really want to share right now. It's just a quick update. So I don't know if this is helpful to anybody, but I definitely feel like it's helpful for what I'm working on and what God's actually trying to reveal. And I shared the other girl, Amanda, even though I don't really know her. She's showing up as like a helper maybe that God's sending, along with a few other people. So I better just listen right now, because she's, these people offer insight, they offer prayer and things like that. So we don't want to reject that. I can be very scornful sometimes. I can have a sharp tongue. I can reject people sometimes. It's just self-protection. The Sacred Feminine's had to do that all her life. I've had to do that all my life. And yeah. I'm somebody that had My mother was affected while she was pregnant with me by things like this and people like this, and we knew of it. Another person on my dad's side was affected by things like this, and we knew of it. So I have a lot of experience with what I'm talking about so far. So we're going earlier. We covered some Jezebel stuff. Then we went into the recent events, and now we're going over this Leviathan stuff. This handler husband of mine, I kept wanting to not hang around him and stuff like that, but my kid's dad was like, no, I'm not going to let another woman affect my friendships with my guys and come in between me and my bros. It was bros before hoes bull stuff, and he was like, no, we're all going to get along. Doesn't matter. So we all basically had to deal with each other, even though I wasn't with him anymore. He was my ex. He was my oldest son's dad. Years later, when I have my other two sons and I'm with their dad, he wants to go hang around him all the time, even though there's really bad history, even though he drinks, and even though he throws these curses my way and does all this witchcraft stuff that neither one of us agree with, neither one of us like. He's just like, no, we gotta stick together. We all gotta stick together. He was just very much like too nice. My mom would do this kind of stuff too, and so it made it just that much more hard on me to ever get free of these family influences. It was very powerful energy with these people wanting to stay in this lower level and me wanting to go higher and get out and be free and stuff like that. I was pretty successful, but it was not easy. And I didn't have any help except for God. So, he wanted to go to a campsite one time and see these bands that were gathering at somebody's property where you could just party and camp and everything like that. Nobody had to worry about drinking and driving, and there was even security, so things weren't going to get out of hand. But things did spiritually get out of hand, and I kind of describe that in the community. I go over it a little bit. Basically, the ex-husband handler gets drunk, comes out as I'm walking by like a big, loud, crazy, woolly, I used to call him woolly mammoth or something like that. And he's yelling at me, and he's like, you broke my heart. Blah blah blah, and I'm like, and he would do that to me, but he would be talking about Tina Coyle or this other ex-girlfriend of his. So that's one of the reasons our marriage didn't work out, is he would get drunk and I would either be his mom or these other exes of his, and he wouldn't even recognize me. He would be in like some weird state. And so he did that to me there, and he got down. He was with somebody else at this point too, and he got down and called me a whore and a slut and a bitch and a witch, and like he would just do this when he was drunk. When he was sober, he didn't talk to me like that at all, and he never let anybody else talk to me like that or anything like that either. But when he was drinking, he would turn into a different person. So he plopped down in front of me and he threw his hand out and he said, you'll be like the woman on the wheel and you'll never get off that wheel. He's talking about the karmic wheel. So he cursed me with this karmic cycle in my life, which already seemed to be present through my mom's bloodline somehow, possibly, or through the womb cursing that happened while my mom was pregnant and went to California with these people that she knew back in the late 70s, early 80s. She was very young. She was 15, 16 years old. So I don't know. All I can say is that's what is being shown to me. It's hard when you don't know the names, you don't know the people, you don't really know the full story. My mom probably couldn't tell you the full story or the accuracy of it. If she did, you'd have to question it because for various reasons, she just doesn't give accurate information. So God has been removing these things from me for like 2 or 3 years and having me give testimony, and also using it as using me as like a catalyst for my generation and things that happened in my generation. So you have to kind of apply these things to however they apply to you. But as far as Akashica, generational curses, breaking contracts, these are things that are casting a shadow on my union. The Lord himself told me this. It's the shadow of the past casting a shadow. The shadow past casted over our future. So this is something that like my union is delayed a lot of times because of these things that have to be worked out. Now this could be on masculine side or my side or both our sides or our collective or whatever, since I'm playing the catalyst here. So when the Lord says she's in Ezekiel, he says she played the harlot, that also the harlot can be the catalyst. So the catalyst for the Babylonian curses doesn't mean that she's a harlot, okay? But if you're that catalyst, and if you're a Holy Spirit channel, yeah, things like wearing all black, hanging around certain people, using your platform a certain way, using your body a certain way, your appearance, your words, makeup on your face, nails, fingers, stuff like that, you cannot be delivered or deliver other people from bondage or be a genuine Holy Spirit channel for such things. If you still engage in those things, you're still in covenant with Satan. So he's also talking about these prophets and how they still accuse the sacred feminine and shame the sacred feminine, and how it's coming from within the country, and even being seen outside the country. So this could be something that's bringing shame on us here because it's happening. It's happening on YouTube. They see it happening. Or even some of it coming from other campaigns, like posting them more so you see them more, pushing them through on your algorithm so you see them more, even though obviously they're not aligned with our truth of what we're working on, but more of an opposition, but still being, well, here we'll shadow ban these channels, and then we'll put all these people in this category, and we'll twist and coil this up more by showing this woman who's against all this stuff exactly that stuff all the time, and then we'll shame her, and we'll do this through television programming, movies, what have you. So yeah, that stuff's real. That's part of the beast system that leads us up to judgment. So whether we're at the end of days or the time of the mark of the beast or whatever is really not the issue. The issue is keeping people from becoming aligned with that stuff and helping them free themselves of bondage and any marks that put you in that bondage. So talking to people about how to properly bless their food, how to be alkaline, how eating pork also is one of those things that can keep that bondage over you, because it's a meat that is cursed in the Bible. So having alternatives to these things has been a huge blessing in my life. It's also another reason I keep gaining weight, because I can eat food that's not actually pork anymore. I'm turning into a little porker myself. But I'm very happy because I had health issues and I had to watch everything I ate all the time. I had a lot of stress in my life about food for many, many years, and I couldn't eat what I wanted, and I spent hours, and it was bad. So now I have that freedom and I have those alternatives. It's really great. I do need to stop eating so much, but I love it because now I can eat almost whatever I want, and I couldn't before. So it's very nice. But that's how I overcame the illness, the rare diagnosis, the things that happened to me was through changing my life and my food. So here we are, and this is what I'm being shown. I love you all. Bye-bye.